All right, welcome to week eight's predictions. Hope everyone had a good Memorial Day weekend. I know everyone could use the R&R from the season, but it's time to get right back into it. So dust off the cleats, shake off the rust. We got softball to play. Week 8 is going to show off a great showcase of games here. We have an interleague game that's being made up. We have two teams playing 4 games. And we have top teams playing each other. So let's get into the easier games first. Just start off with Legends versus Decepticons. Legends coming off of an impressive split with SWAT, which has left the door wide open in that division. Where we shut it, somebody picked that lock, or yanked it back up. The division leaders, it's a one game basically from the first team to the 5th team almost now. So Legends takes care of business at 1 o'clock against Decepticons at some place called Phillips Park, which I don't know where it is, and I'm not going there, so I don't care. Legends sweep. That game is done with. You got Invictus versus Gentleman's Club, 12 o'clock at North Branch 2. No fence. You know what that means? It's a lot of running around for those outfielders, Gentleman's Club. At 12 o'clock, they're going to be tired. They're going to want to throw the towel in pretty quick because, unfortunately, Invictus is going to move those guys around all day long. And with Sama and his crazy little shifts that never, ever work, but he'll still do them, is just going to get under his team's skin. And, again, you throw in a very poor start to the season going up against a very good team with no fence equals a really bad day. And now Rafiq said they're going to win by about 50 runs total. I'm going to have to say I agree with that. 50, I think, is about a right number. I'm assuming somewhere between it's going to be like a 33 to 7 game and like a 29 to 4 or 5 game. So Invictus sweeps. That game's over and done with. Aftermath versus Wolfpack. Torpy, 12 o'clock. Finally, my team gets to play at North Branch, show off some of the muscle, some of the guns. The downfall for us here is those are my guys that hit the ball so well might be penalized because they're hitting mistakes. When I say mistake, I mean a cheap home run goes over the fence. We don't like hitting solo shots. We like hitting 2, 3, 4, home runs, grand slams, stuff like that. So I'm hoping the wind is I actually hope the wind is blowing in as hard as it possibly can because my guys don't need wind to hit home runs at Torpy. They don't need the elements. My guys hit home runs and they kill sheep, for God's sakes. I'm not even kind of worried about it. I just don't want to. I don't want guys like myself by accident hitting home runs and then taking away home runs for my good home run hitters. So hopefully I don't hit any home runs this weekend. Aftermath, we win in and out pretty quick. All right, let's get into some really good games. You got Shaw's versus Wild. You got the guys coming back from the wedding against the guys who haven't played, I think, in 7 months at this point. Basically, they haven't even played a game this year. Wild has not really been battle tested yet at 3-3 against Shaw's, who is basically starting the whole season all over for them. I mean, with that long delay, that break off, and now you got to come back and play. People are going split, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to take a completely different approach to that. Since they're playing at Torpy, I'm giving Wild the advantage. Wild in a sweep, because again, as great as the Shaw's defense is, you cannot defend a home run. So as long as Wild is smart about the home runs, because I know some of the players on their teams, and when they see a short fence, the idea is to hit a home run. But you can't waste solo shots against the Shaws. You have to wait for those 2, 3-run home runs and make your 4 home runs worth it. Because Shaws is only going to have 1 or 2 guys that are going to hit home runs. So unless they hit that mark too, you're just going to be kind of pigeonholing yourself and not scoring maximum runs. You want to maximize the runs on home runs at Torpy. Wild sweep that game, knocks Shaw's down to 7-3. They jump up to 5-3. That game's over. Channel 4 versus No Side at North Branch 2, which has no fence and is the morning game, so the ground will be wet, the ball will be moving a lot. But Channel 4 has just re-signed somehow the great, the powerful. His baldness is back, people. Making his Jams debut 2014. Now, he's saying he might be a little rusty, a little out of shape. I tend not to believe him because he was actually never really in shape or anything like that. Great opposite field hitter. He's going to bat at least 700 for that team. He's definitely a great person to pick up. Also for a leader aspect too, because he's ran teams before. He's been an admin, so he knows how to run a team. And not that Channel 4 is like that wild, crazy team, that you need to kind of round up their guys, but it gives you an extra leader to look up to, in certain weeks where, it gets kind of tough. Now they're at 6-6. They're right there with Legends. They're right there with SWAT. They're right there with Hitmen. You could not have picked a better time to pick up a player like this. Also, from what the forum is saying, Anand is full-time playing now, which is great. So I think you're going to see Channel 4 really step up its game a lot. Then Mofo, I hear, is also coming back, so it kind of brings him down a little bit. But still, he bought the bat, so it kind of brings him up a little more. Kind of like an even trade. So that being said, no side, I think, was the worst time that they could have faced Channel 4 right now. And I'm going to go with a sweep here for Channel 4 against a team like No Side, where it's always kind of what if who's showing up, and if who shows up, how they're going to show up and play. And also the field does not benefit them as much as it's going to benefit a more athletic team like Channel 4, who can run the bases. I mean, Mensah is like a freaking track star on those things. Once he hits the ball, before that ball drops, he knows where he's going. First, second, he'll make that long turn, and if that outfielder bobbles or throws a lollipop in, he's already at second. He's very quick. He's probably one of the best base runners I know in the league. So, Channel 4 sweep there. Probably the game of the week is going to be SWAT versus Hitmen. SWAT coming off a disastrous loss to Legends. Hitmen coming off of their worst 6-game span ever, and still question marks are there. How is Jason's shoulder? When is Shake going to come back? Who's playing this position? What time are they getting here? 9 o'clock games are always tough, and they're playing them in Bedminster. Not even sure where Bedminster really is. I had to look it up on a map. That all being said, SWAT, the same thing. Last week they had guys I've never seen ever play softball in jams before. I'm not saying they weren't on the roster. Not saying that at all. I'm just saying that they also had to play the fill-in game for some players. And nobody wants to hear this, but you know what? Some of their role players are not having the kind of years that they should be having this year, which is, I think, it's showing you that SWAT is, mortal. They're not some, godlike team that can just go out there all day long, just boom, just keep pumping it out, pumping it out, pumping it out. They're a great team. They're probably the most sound, besides my team, hitting team. They all know what to do. They all know the roles. It's just, I think that it's starting to wear a little bit on them, that I'm seeing players playing in different positions now. I'm seeing new guys coming in all the time. Can MK hold the whole thing together in the dog days of June? And it has to be demoralizing when I give you the division and then you do that, and now it's just, like I said, that division, anybody can win. I mean, the Legends at 6-6, when I think they were 1-5, I mean, they've just come out of nowhere. Now Channel 4, they're lock, stock, and barrel ready to go. They're hungry. They're willing. They're trying to show that they can win without their cousin. That's the mission for them. Obviously winning games, but I think it's another point of showing that they can win without Rafiq. Hitmen, a complete rebuilding year, a team based on fundamentals, is having trouble just getting people to the games. And then you have SWAT, which is, like I'm saying, it's a great team, but what's going on with them? That division is crazy, and I think it's going to be a fantastic finish. And I know we're all said, oh, it's so stupid that everyone's playing each other twice. This is why it's going to make it awesome, because now you've known the teams you're playing. You get to make those adjustments, and now the second time around, it's all strategy, it's all play, it's all go. I think it's great. That being said, a lot of people are going split here. I have to go with the fact that I assume Shake's not going to be there. I assume Jason is not 100% healthy. I assume that Hitmen are not going to have 10 guys. I'm going to go with a SWAT sweep here. I also don't know what the field is like. I don't know if there's a fence. I don't know how far away the fence is. A lot of little questions that I don't have. So again, it's just kind of, this is like my kind of toss-up one. Now, the interesting game of the week. After Wild and No Side both play in the morning at 9 o'clock, they are now going to reconvene at North Branch at 12:30 and face off each other in a remake game. This is where it's going to start hurting. Wild has only played 6 games this year. You need to fit 10 pounds of poop into a 5-gallon hat. So what happens is now you got to start doubling up the weekends. They're playing 4 games this weekend. The following week, they're playing another 4 games. If anyone's like, oh, it's just softball, it's 4 games. It's 9 o'clock until 3 o'clock. No break. It's no eating. It's trying to stay, drinking your fluids, trying to stay sharp. And if anyone who's ever played a tournament where you play 5 games in a day, or you play 4 games in a day, by that 3rd or 4th game, you are breathing heavy, you're sucking wind, you're not giving it 100% at all. If anything, your tank is basically dry by that 3rd game. So it comes down to which team has the preparation to do this. I've never seen, and I don't know if I'm just going on a limb here, I haven't seen No Side players ever play in a tournament. I don't know if they are used to playing 4 games. I know for a fact that Wild's team, probably about half of their team, does play tournaments. So they're used to playing 4 or 5 games in a day. So they're going to be more ready and battle tested already to go into this. And it's not like one team has an easier game. No Side has Channel 4. That's not like they're playing the Decepticons. You can rest some starters. You don't get that. Same thing with Wild. You can't rest your guys against the Shaw's game because you got to win those games. So it's not like any team gets a break. It's not like any team has an an easy game before where they can kind of rest. You're going 110% at 9 o'clock, and then you're driving. Maybe grab a bite to eat or something, but make it there by 12:30. There's no. I'm not seeing any kind of lead time for anybody, and you're playing another 2 games against 2 tough teams. And let's be honest with you, these are make or break games. You cannot fall behind. Wild cannot start 3 and go 3-7 because then they're done in that division. They have to at least split or win 1 or 2 of them. That being said, I'm going to go with a split in this game just for pure fatigue. If this was a regular game all day long, I take Wild over No Side. I'm going to say that fatigue has a factor in both games. I think it's going to be a draining game to watch for both these guys. I think they're going to be trying to put up whatever they can. I just don't see a lot coming out of both these teams after you put so much into your 9 o'clock game. That's all I got. I'm glad to see the forums alive. Keep it up. I'll see y'all out there.